Hello everyone. So in the last classes you have studied about motion. I think you can remember which you have studied about motion in the 6th standard. So what do you mean by motion? So just we define the motion as change in position of the object. So whenever we can observe changes in the position, that is when the object moves from one place to another place, we will say it as an motion. And also we studied that three types of motion, that is rectilinear motion, circular motion and periodic motion. Do you remember that? So which is first one? The first one is rectilinear motion. Then what do you mean by this rectilinear motion? Can anyone say that? Yes. So rectilinear motion means, so whenever if the object moves in the straight line, if the object moves in a straight line, then we will say this kind of motion as rectilinear motion. And then the second type of motion which we studied is circular motion. Now what do you mean by circular motion? So as the name itself indicates, if the object moves in circular path, I'll repeat again, if the object moves in circular path, then we say it as an circular motion. And then what do you mean by the third type of motion? So the third type of motion is periodic motion. So now what do you mean by this periodic motion? So it is, the name itself indicates, periodic means which repeats at regular interval. So then we will define the periodic motion as if the motion of the object, if it repeats at a regular interval of time, then it is said to be periodic motion. So then if you see any situations or any motions which are present around us, we can easily able to classify them into which is rectilinear motion and which is circular motion and which is periodic motion. So for example, soldiers in a march past. So how they will move? So soldiers in a march past, they will move in a straight line. So we can say that is an example for rectilinear motion. And then motion of a pendulum. I think you have seen about the motion of a pendulum. So how does it move? So it moves like this, right? See, the motion of the pendulum, it moves and it repeats at regular interval of time. So for that reason we can say that motion of the pendulum is an example for periodic motion. And then if you look at the pedal of a bicycle in motion, so whenever you are riding the bicycle, you will move the pedal of the bicycle, right? How it moves? The pedal of the bicycle, it moves in this way. That means it is an example for circular motion, right? See how many types of motion we are seeing around us, and somewhere in some places we can see combinations of motion also, that is rectilinear and circular together or circular and periodic together. So there are so many examples. Now just now we said there are three types of motion, whatever we learnt in the previous class. But then how do we say that which is moving fast and which is moving slow? So do we have any method to say that? Yes. So whenever an object is moving, so just we will compare that with the other, right? For example, if you take bike and an aeroplane, what do you say? You will say that aeroplane is moving faster, whereas the bike, it is moving slower. How? That is, you are observing a factor to decide which is moving fast and which is moving slow. What is that factor? That is the distance. The distance covered by the object in the given interval of time, right? In the shortest time, if the object covers long distance, then we will say that object is moving faster, right? So for that we have many activities also, and then you have studied those activities in the previous class, that is about whenever you are seeing any vehicle which are moving on the straight road, if any car overtakes another car, we will say that car is moving faster. How? Because the distance covered by that car is more in the short time. Clear? So then we will say that the car is moving faster. So by using the factor, that is the distance covered by the vehicles or any objects in the less interval of time, then we will say that is an fast moving object. And instead of using this fast, we are using one more term, that is speed. I think in common way you are using the term speed. Then what do you mean by speed? How you define it? So that is, if the vehicles or if any objects, or repeat again, if any objects, so if they covers a given distance in the shorter time, or if it covers a larger distance in a given time, then it is said to be speed. Then how we can define the speed? So the speed of the vehicle, we define it as it is the distance covered by the object. Speed is the distance covered by the object per unit time. So it is called as speed, right? So just now in the previous statement we said that if the object it covers largest distance in the given time, we say it as an speed, right? So then if you take any example which we are seeing around us, you can say that the vehicle is moving faster. How at what speed? So you can say that it is 50 km per hour. Then what do you mean by this statement? So here it says that that object it is covering 50 km. That object is covering 50 km per hour. How much? For 1 hour that object is covering 50 km. But if you think practically in our environment or in our nature, is it possible? No. Why? Suppose, consider if you are going to school, in your school van, does the driver, he can ride that school van in the same speed from the starting point to the end point? No. Sometimes he may have to increase the speed and sometimes he may have to decrease the speed. So for that reason we cannot say the speed of that object it is regular at all interval of time. So instead of using the term speed, what we have used, we have used the term average speed, because the speed of that vehicle is changing, right? For that reason we have used the term average speed. Then how we will define this average speed? So this average speed is the total distance. It is the total distance covered, the total distance covered by the object in the total time taken, in the total time taken. So it is called as average speed. But commonly instead of using the term average, just we will omit this average and just we will say it is in speed, and which is equal to total distance covered by total time taken. So by using this formula we can calculate either speed or the distance covered by the object or total time taken by the object to cover that distance. So these are the problems which you will study in the next classes. Clear? And next, so just now we have studied about the speed. Then to measure the speed, what we need? So we need to know that time. So how we can measure the time? So our next topic is measurement of time. So how do we measure time? Can anyone have any devices or any objects to measure time? I think you all have at your hands or at your home which are used to measure time. So we will measure the time by using different methods. So for example, if you look at any old age persons, you know, without using clocks, how they will say the time? Yeah, that is, they will observe the shadows. By observing the shadows, they are able to say the approximate time value. So you just check it. How do that older persons or the persons earlier, how do they able to check the time? And then our ancestors, along with that, they have used so many other methods to use the time or to sway the time, and then how they measure the month and a year. Have you noticed that if you take any intervals of time, that is for example to say a day, how do we say that one day, or how do we calculate that one day? That is from one morning to the next morning, we will say it is in one day, right? And then how do you say 1 month? How do you calculate that? So we can calculate that 1 month as from one full moon to next full moon. The average, the days of the average, that is from one full moon to another full moon, we will say it as an 1 month, right? And then how do you say that 1 year? So 1 year is, that is a year was fixed as a time taken by the earth to complete one revolution of the sun. See, based on all this, they were calculating that years, days, or months, or weeks, and then a time, that means an hour, like this, right? Nowadays we are using clocks or watches, right, which are used to measure the time. But keep it in mind, the working of clocks, it is rather complex, but all of them make use of some periodic motion. Just now we said in the previous topic, that is periodic motion, right? So all these works on the same mechanism, that is periodic function. So one of the most well-known periodic motion is that of a simple pendulum. So have you seen that simple pendulum? Especially you can see that on the wall clocks. If you have a pendulum clock at your home, you can see that. Now how does it look? Which one? That simple pendulum. See, if we have a simple pendulum like this, so at the bottom it has a bob. What is this? It is a metallic thing, or it is a metal ball. So it is called as bob, and this bob, it is connected to a string or a thread. Say this thread, it is about 1 meter. I took it, and the thread is connected to the bob, and other end of the thread, it is connected to the any support, right? So we call it as a simple pendulum. Then how do we use pendulum to measure the time? Just now in the previous section I said all the clocks, they works on the simple mechanism, that is a simple pendulum. They uses the mechanism of simple pendulum, that is with the help of a periodic motion, right? Now how does it function? See, consider whenever we fix the simple pendulum to a support, so this position I mark it as O, and we say this position of the pendulum as its mean position. So what do we say? We say it as an mean position. And then now hold the bob, take it to the extension position, or we will say it as an extreme position. If you drag it, can we drag the bob till this end, up to here? Yes, I can drag up to here. Now, and then I can drag the same pendulum towards this position also, and I will mark it as A, this as B. So anywhere you can drag it. Now, so this A and B, we call it as an extreme position. What we call it as an extreme position, and this is also an extreme position of the pendulum. Now hold the bob, take it to the extreme position and leave the bob. What do you observe? You observe that the bob, it moves from A to O, then O to B, again it stops, it comes back like this, from B to O, again from O to A, then O to, from A to O, then O to P. So it repeats its motion. So for that reason we can say it as an, which kind of motion? It is an periodic motion. So it moves in this way. See, so this kind of motion we also call it as an oscillatory motion. Why? Because it is oscillating. The bob, it oscillates in this way. Clear? So this is also called as an oscillation. What do we call? We call it as an oscillation. Then how do we define the oscillation? The pendulum, it is said to have completed one oscillation when its bob, starting from its mean position O, moves to A, to B and comes back to O. So then we can say that the pendulum completes one oscillation. Clear? I will repeat again. When the bob, starting from its mean position O, moves to A, then to B, then and back to O, the pendulum is said to complete one oscillation, right? And also we can define it as one more definition, that is that a pendulum completes one oscillation when its bob moves from one extreme position A to the other extreme position B and comes back to A. So this is also called as an oscillation. And then the time taken to complete one oscillation, I will repeat, the time taken to complete one oscillation is said to be its time period. So you have to remember these terms. What is the terms? What do you mean by one oscillation and what do you mean by a time period? So you must remember this definition. Now, how we can calculate? How do we calculate the time? By using this pendulum. So we will do an simple activity, right? Now to do this activity, just set up a simple pendulum as shown in the previous figure. That is, just we will need to take a simple pendulum and we will fix it to the bob like this. Now keep it in mind, a bob, it is connected to the thread which is of 1 meter. You should know this. Then whenever we fix the bob or a pendulum to the support, just mark its mean position O, either at the bottom of the surface or on the wall, wherever is possible you mark it. And then to measure the time period of the pendulum, we will need to use a stopwatch. So either if you don't have the stopwatch, we can use the wristwatch or you can use the wall clock, which is available easily for you. Then to set the pendulum in motion, just gently hold the bob and move it slightly to one side. Okay, so I will move this slightly to one side, that means to another extreme position here. So I will mark it as an A. Then make sure that the string attached to the bob is taut while you displace it. That means it must be tied it where anywhere at the support and at the bob correctly, right? Now release the bob from its displaced position. From its displaced position, it means that from its extreme position, that is A. So remember that the bob is not to be pushed when it is released. Clear? You should not do that. Whenever you release the bob, you again and again you should not push it like a swing. How do you play the swing? Again and again you will push it, but here you should not push the bob continuously, right? Now note the time on the clock when the bob is at its mean position. So where is mean position? Here, this is 0, right? Instead of the mean position, you may note the time when the bob is at one extreme position anywhere. Either you start from 0, that means O, or you start from A. Now make the pendulum to oscillate freely. Make the bob or pendulum to oscillate freely, right? And then what we have to do along with that, we have to measure the time. How? So measure the time of the pendulum which it takes to complete 20 oscillations. So for example, say from A to this is B, okay na? So from A to 1, how? A to B, again B to A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and so on up to 20. So you have to take the time measurement of the pendulum it takes to complete 20 oscillations, and we have to record in a table. So where is the table? So just we will write it. So take it as a serial number, and then time taken for 20 oscillations. Time taken for 20 oscillations, and then the third column we will take it as an time period. Okay, time taken will be in form of seconds, and then time period, it is also in the form of second. Now in the first trial, okay, so what we did, we have taken for 20 oscillations, and then to complete this 20 oscillations, how much time does it took? How much time does it took? Yes, how much do you say that? Okay, say for example 42 seconds to complete the 20 oscillation. If it takes 42 seconds, now you know what we have to do, just divide this 42 by 20. So what it gives? It gives the time taken for one oscillation. What it gives? It gives the time taken for one oscillation. So what will be the value? It is 2.1 second. So we will write that 2.1 here. So the approximate time for one oscillation of the pendulum will be 2.1 second. You can do one more trial and repeat the same activity. That means take the bob to the extreme position, allow it to oscillate, and measure the time which it takes to complete 20 oscillations. That means sometime it may take 42 seconds again, or sometime it may take 41 seconds, or it may take 43 seconds. So there may be slightly changes. Sometimes you may get the same value. Again, if you get the, okay, for example, if you get the 43, what do you have to do? Just take it as an 43 divided by 20. So you will get around 22.1 or 2.2 seconds something. So you can write it here. Clear? So by this way, we will measure the time by using pendulum clock or pendulum, by using a simple pendulum. Clear? So this is about measurement of time. We have studied this time and speed and also motion. Then how do we express it? That is, what are the units of time and speed, right? For example, see, if we say, or if you go to any shop or any station stop or provision store, consider you have to buy sugar, right? How do you ask that person to purchase the sugar? So you will ask to give you about 2 kg of sugar, right? So here you will not ask them give 2 of sugar. Do you ask in this way? No. Why? It is the correct form of saying. So how you will ask? You will ask about give 2 kg. So here this kg is there, no? This kg, it represents the unit, the SI unit of mass. Clear? So in this way we will use the units for time and speed also. So now what is the basic unit of time? The basic unit of time is second. So the basic unit of time is second. Clear? And its symbol will be S. Clear? Unit of time is second and its symbol is S. And then the larger units of time are said by using minutes, or we will write it as a minute. Clear? And then still more we will mark it as in hours or in H. I think you can see that in your clock. So the clock has seconds hand, minutes hand and hours hand. So small time second, larger time minute, even larger time in hours, right? Along with this, we will also measure the speed by using some units. What are those units of speed? We know that speed is defined as what? How do you define the speed? Do anyone say that? So speed is the distance covered by time, right? Now just write the units. What is the SI unit of distance? It is meter. Then what is the SI unit of time? It is second. So the SI unit SI unit of speed will be meter per second. It will be meter per second. So sometimes for larger speed we will say either as meter per minute sometimes, or sometimes we will use the term kilometer per hour, right? Otherwise centimeter per second. Like this we will measure the speed by using their units. So either meter per second or meter per minute or kilometer per hour. So any units. So usually the measure unit is meter per second. Clear? And one more thing, you must remember that the symbols of all units, are written in singular, not plural. So say for example, how do we write it? For example, if you say 50 kilometer, right? So here this 50 kilometer is singular. Then which is the plural form? See, 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers. So this kilometers is the plural, 50 kilometers is singular. So we will not use the plural forms. We will use only singular forms, right? And then for example, 8 centimeter. This is singular, whereas 8 centimeters is plural. So we will not use this plural form, we will use only singular form. So this is the way of using the units of time and its speed. Clear? And then there is a question, that is one of your friend, that is Bujo, is wondering how many seconds there are in a day and how many hours in a year. Can you help him? How do we calculate it? So just I will give you an idea how to do that. For example, the first question is, how many seconds are there in a day? In a day, 24 hours, and for 1 hour how many minutes? 60 minutes, and for 1 minute how many seconds? 60 seconds. So just you simplify this, you will get the seconds for a day. And then how many hours in a year? How many hours in a year? So simple, for 1 day how many hours? 24 hours into how many days in a year? 365, right? So if you simplify this, you will get how many hours in a year. Clear? So if you do this, you will get the answer for the Bujo. And then if you use this for different methods, or wherever you get any examples like this, you can do by yourself. Now, do we have any other different units of time which is convenient to you? Yes. So whenever we are saying any distance, we will use the speed and the distance between our home to our school or anywhere. We will use only our convenient units, right? For example, to say how much time it takes to you to reach your school from your home, so just you will say either half an hour or 2 hours, like this. But you don't say it as an in years. Do you say 0.001 year? No, you will express this in hours or in minutes, like this. And then to reach the moon, from the earth, how do you say? Will you say this in hours? No, you will say this in months or in days, right? So depending on our convenience, we will use the units also. Clear? And then how small or large is a time interval of 1 second? So usually we cannot say that, but for this class we have only one method. Just if you say any one sentence aloud, that is 2001, how much time it takes? So hardly 1 second. That is, see, listen, 2001. So nearly it is around 1 second. So verify it by counting aloud by yourself. Clear? And then if you test the pulse of a normal healthy adult pulse, that is, or the heartbeat, how much time it beats? That is 72 times it beats, and then 12 times in 10 seconds. So this rate may be slightly higher for children, right? And many time measuring devices were used in different parts of the world before the pendulum clocks became popular. So for that examples, sundials, right? You can observe the sundials or water clocks. So you may have seen these kind of things in the old films or in the old movies. Nowadays we are using for artificial purpose or for decorative purpose. And also sand clocks, have you seen this? So if you watch any English movies, usually you will see this water clocks and also sand clocks and also sundials. So these were the devices which were used in the earlier days to measure the time in different parts of the world. Clear? And then in the next class we will study about measuring speed. How do we measure speed? And then if you like this video, so please give me a thumbs up button and then comment on this and forward to your friends as much as possible. Thank you.